All right, you're listening to Backstage with hashtag RDM right here on the Radio Random Network. But before we get started, I just want to remind everybody that today's show is brought to you by Amazon.com. They kick a little bit of money back to us to keep the show free for all of our listeners to enjoy at no extra cost to you. So when you do your shopping with Amazon, be sure and use www.radiorandomnetwork.com/Amazon or just use the banners at radiorandomnetwork.com. Joining me today is actor and national recording artist Chris Mulkey. Chris is here to promote his new movie and talk about his music and so much more. And some of you may know Chris from his roles in Boardwalk Empire, Friday Night Lights, the series, Charlie's Angels, The Waltons. He's been in so much and he's done so much, and he's here to tell us all about it. And with that said, let's get the party started right here on Backstage with hashtag RDM on the Radio Random Network.
You're backstage with hashtag RDM on Radio Random Network. Now, here's the host, hashtag RDM, Russell Devin McLean.
Joining me today on Backstage with hashtag RDM on the Radio Random Network, I'm talking to, well, hell, he's an actor. Just found out he's also a recording artist and a musician. He's here to talk about the service and everything else he's up to these days. I'm talking to the one and only Mr. Chris Mulkey. Chris, how you doing today, brother?
I'm great.
Sounds great. Sounds great.
Thanks for having me on.
Not a problem. You know, it's funny you picked up when we picked up the line here. You were telling us you're in the studio today working on your album From the House of Blues.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about that, man?
I sure can. Yeah, we played the last night at the House of Blues at the Voodoo Lounge, and we'd been the house band there in Hollywood for about a year. And then the House of Blues had us close it out, so it was great. And so we're doing a double album, and I'm mixing it with my friend Keith Taylor. And Sean Vidrine from Lake Charles came up and played accordion for us that night. And so we're having a ball. So it's really a tasty album. It's called Bring It Down the House with Chris Mulkey and Deluxe. So
that's awesome, man. You know, I did not, like I said, I didn't know you were a musician. But with that said, I mean, you're most known for your acting and being in different things. But how did you come about being a musician? Was that something? Did that come first?
Yeah, it came first. I was living in Minnesota, and in Minnesota, all the blues guys come up from Chicago, you know. So as a kid, I was always sneaking into the blues clubs, and then I started playing harmonica with it, and then I moved on to guitar, and then when I got to college, a friend of mine was an actor, and he said, you should just take an acting class. And I took an acting class, and I really liked that, and because it was like being on stage as a musician, but then you didn't have to make anything up because they wrote everything. So cool, there's a script. Are you kidding me? So then I went on, and I produced a couple movies in Minnesota, one of which won the USA Film Festival, a thing called Loose Ends, about two mechanics at a garage that are kind of a couple goofballs. It was a really nice, film, and I took it to Hollywood and started working as an actor, and it just never stopped.
As an entertainer, a musician, and an actor, who are some of your influences?
Oh boy, well I have to tell you that Clint Eastwood. I met Clint Eastwood when I was working at a theater in Minneapolis, and I took some time off because I wanted to find out how you make movies. So I went to the American Film Institute, and just hung out there and worked on crews for free. You know, I pulled cable, did electrics, was an assistant director, all this stuff. And one day, and it just worked for free. And they had a little seminar there, a little living room, about 10 filmmakers and producers were in there. And I was buddies with this. Come on, Mulkey, come over. See this cowboy actor, the guy that's doing those spaghetti westerns. I said, oh yeah, I like that guy, that Clint guy. Yeah. So we go in there and we sit down, and he's asked everybody what everybody's doing, and I said, well, I'm an actor, and I just wrote a couple scripts, and I want to, how do I get over? I actually said that, how do I get over? And he says, well, here's how you get over. He said, go back to where you're at and write a movie starring yourself and produce it, and best of luck. And I think that'll work. And so I went back to Minnesota and wrote this goofy comedy that takes place in a car dealership, because my friend's dad had a car dealership, and we shot it there, and we shot it at the Chevy place, and it won the grand prize. It was cool, and that started me out.
That's
amazing.
Awesome.
I think we shot it for Russell. I think we shot it for $25,000, black and white film.
Wow.
Yeah, and had some really great blues tracks on it, and I wasn't on it, but some other guys were. It was great. So we had a good time. Oh, John Paul Hammond, the blues. The blues slide player was on that.
Yes, sir.
John Paul Hammond did our tracks. I mean, we met him. We met him at a bar, and we all kind of hit it off. And and he said, "Sure, you can use these songs," and just threw us the songs. It was great.
That's
terrific.
Awesome. That's awesome. Well, I do have a question for you, kind of off the cuff. Now, you've been in you've been in over 200 films and television roles.
Yep.
Now, I mean, from Chips, T.J. Hooker, to the Dukes of Hazzards. I mean.
Yep.
All the way up to present day. You've been on Boardwalk Empire. You've also been in the Friday Night Lights series. But with all that said, what's your secret to staying relevant, man?
I try to do smart stuff, and you can argue that Dukes of Hazzard isn't smart. But I think Dukes of Hazzard is smart because it's about America, and I had a ball working with those guys. But I try to do stuff that's smart, and also I do stuff that doesn't. One of my other rules, Russell, is that I won't do any movie that makes a woman an object of prey. You know what I mean?
There you go.
So,
yes, indeed.
Because I think we got to love and respect of the women out there, and when you tell stories about a woman who's an object of prey, which is just an expendable item, that won't fly. So I've stayed to do smart stuff, respect the ladies, and work with people who are nice. And so I have the no jerks rule, and then that's been pretty good. So I worked with Tom Hanks in Captain Phillips, and did The Purge, and was in The Surface. I mean, Sean Astin, what a great guy. That's the movie that's out right now. That's we're kind of talking about it. Sean's a great guy. I mean, talk about a solid guy to act with. Oh my gosh. So yeah, just no jerks. That's good.
Yes, indeed. You're talking about Sean Astin, who plays his character is Mitch in The Surface, and which your character Kelly. But give us a little insight on how The Surface movie. How'd you get involved with it?
Well, I was playing a gig in Lake Charles, Louisiana, and they called me up, and they said, "Can you make it back on Saturday?" And I said, "Yeah, I can make it back on Saturday because we're playing the big 4th of July thing at the stadium in Santa Monica." He said, "Well, Saturday morning when you fly in, meet with Gil Cates. We're going to send you the script about this boat that's sinking in Lake Michigan, and these two guys are trying to survive. One wants to kill himself, but he has to save the other guy's life." And I went, "Oh, what a great idea!" So I played the gig, got on a jet, flew back, landed at 6 a.m, drove across L.A. and met with Gil Cates in Beverly Hills and talked about it. And then I said, "Whatever you do, get guys who can swim, okay? Because you're going to be in a lake, you're going to be in Lake Michigan, which is like a freaking ocean,
Right.
for 5 weeks." So, and I was totally excited about it. So then I left from there. I went to sound check, and then we played. Literally, oh God! Then I went to sound check. Then I played the gig. 10,000 people at the stadium. Then outside the stadium, there was a limousine waiting to take me to the airport, and I flew to London to do pickup shots for Captain Phillips. And then when I came back from England, they said, "Oh, you're going to Milwaukee to shoot the film with Sean Astin. You got the role." I went, "Oh, great!" So then,
yes, indeed.
Oh my God.
Now, going back and forth here, you're talking about the Captain Phillips. That's Tom Hanks. What was it like working with Tom?
Tom's a great guy. Oh my gosh, I had met him one time before, and he's got a great rhythm to him. He's always smart. He's always he always makes these great decisions. He always considers stuff, so he's never ever emotional about anything. And trying to pick like what he wants to do in the scene. but when in the scene, he has a huge emotional, energy and clarity to him, and he's a really nice guy. I mean, Russell, you and I could just hang out with him and have a Coke and just blah blah blah. He's just a great conversationalist, and he's funny. So.
Right. That always makes for a good time, especially when somebody's funny, huh?
Yeah, it's funny. And Sean, by the way, Sean Astin is super funny. He's a good guy. So yeah, so I've been lucky. I've been working with a lot of good guys. One of the guys I worked with a long time ago was this guy Gene Hackman, who did but
yes, indeed,
and French Connection and all that stuff. And he always said, "Show up on time and be nice, and you'll be okay, Chris." So I did.
And Gene gave you that advice, and you've carried it around since, correct?
Yeah, yes, sir. I think, as a matter of fact, I called you right on time.
You sure did. I have to. I will give you props for that. That's awesome. And
boy, but but we're just trying.
With all that, go ahead, Chris.
Well, I was just saying, we're just trying to get this Surface movie out here, and people have really responded well to it because it's kind of an adventure film, and I sure like doing those films where there's problems and guys are trying to overcome all the odds that are stacked against them, and so that's what makes The Surface a really really cool film to watch.
That's awesome. Now, you worked on the Friday Night Lights, and it's funny. I seen that. My fiance and I just started on the Netflix there. They have the whole seasons, and we just started the first season. We just got through the first season.
Oh yeah.
So, what was it like working on the Friday Night Lights?
Well, it was great. I'm a football fan. And I kind of follow the Raging Cajuns, and everybody follows LSU, of course. But I so I love football, and I played it when I was a kid, and so to be cast as the coach in Friday Night Lights was a huge treat. I mean, you get to go down to Austin, Texas, one of the greatest cities in the world, and play this coach who was really hard on the guys. I mean, the other Kyle's character was considerate and thoughtful, and I come in there kind of like, I don't know who would be the craziest, the bear, the Coach Bryant from Alabama or something. He's just a house of fire, and my guy was pretty pushy, and so you'll see he's a pretty pushy guy. And then
that's awesome.
Then everybody goes, "Oh my God, this guy's crazy," and so they get Kyle to come back from his coaching job to coach high school football. Which, just between you and me, Russell, I don't think any coach would ever leave college to go back to high school football, but it's the movies, and so it doesn't. Right.
It happens. Well, you say that. I mean, Nick Saban did leave the NFL for to go back to college, but
Ohio. Well, you mean Ohio State isn't in the NFL?
No, it isn't.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought it was.
It's all good. With all of that said, Chris, we're going to talk a little bit about the Surface movie, but before I get to that, man, you got a lot of things going on. You're a great entertainer. You're a great actor. You've got a great reputation for yourself. But if it wasn't for entertainment, movies, and music, what would you be doing for a profession?
I'd like to do stuff that helped people. I'm kind of from the Midwest, so I'm always, and that's one of the great things about Louisiana. People are always helpful to one another, If somebody's in a jam or needs some tools or something like that, or helpful. I think I'd like to teach in a high school or a college maybe, and have kids understand about life skills. I think that would, like how to set up their life, like financially, and what there used to be a class called civics in high school.
Yes, indeed.
And they used to talk about how the government worked, and then how banking worked, and how, and they don't teach it anymore. And I don't know what they teach in high school, but they don't teach it anymore. I'd like to do that just to help people out, because there's so much information floating around, and iPhones and computers and TVs and all that stuff. And it'd be nice to get kids in a room, young people in a room, and just go, "Hey, this is the way it is." Or mentor older people, you know. A friend of mine, Jim Fetch, down in San Diego, does that. He goes and older people who are confused about what this and that works, and he'll sit down one-on-one with them and help them out. Yeah, I'm going to be a helper. A helper. That's
yes,
good.
Yes, indeed. That's awesome. That's awesome. Now, you was talking about Sean Aniston. A lot of people, I don't know if the name should ring a bell out there for our listeners, because this guy, he was in the Lord of the Rings, Rudy, Memphis Belle. Rudy, probably one of the biggest the roles, correct?
I think so, yeah. Rudy was a great football movie about Notre Dame, you know, and the storied character there. And, and Goonies and Lord of the Rings. I mean, man, I love Lord of the Rings. I like all that stuff, you know. So.
Yes, indeed, definitely. Now, one person we haven't touched on is Mimi Rogers. Can you tell us what it was like working with her?
She's great. She's so she's such a smooth and beautiful person. Her rhythm she has such an open heart, and she's so kind. She's great. I loved working with her. It was like we had been married for a long time. And so doing the movie together, it was amazing. We had also done a movie together a few years back that won 2 Emmy Awards called Weapons of Mass Distraction. It was an HBO movie, and it was me and Ben Kingsley and Gabriel Byrne and Mimi Rogers and who else? It was a really cool movie. So we knew each other. So that's playing a couple was easier because we'd known each other for maybe 10 years. So it's nice. So Mimi's
awesome.
Yeah, they're going. Mimi's doing the job, and I'm going. Oh, nice. She's So it was really a benefit. She was a friend of Gil Cates Jr., who was the director of the movie. You know, and he did a great job on the surface. So he should be an admiral, Russell, or something like that. We had all kinds.
Indeed.
We had all kinds of boats. We had like 5 boats he had to juggle. You know, the cabin cruiser, a great like 40-foot pontoon barge. Our little boat, the rescue boat. Oh man, I was like, yikes! But nothing bad happened. We were good. So, we were lucky.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Now, before I let you go, Chris, is there any advice you can give to any musicians or any actors or any entertainer out there, for that matter, that may want to follow in your footsteps?
Play or act your passion, and show up on time and be nice.
Great.
There's a great country western singer, George Strait, and George Strait has been very successful. And he's one of the guys who is always nice and always on time. And, be like that guy. That'd be good.
That's awesome. Now, if you want to see what Chris is up to, you can follow him on Twitter at, is it CH Mulkey?
CH Mulkey.
You got a website, chrismulkey.com. You can also find out about The Surface Movie on Twitter at The Surface Movie, or just simply go to thesurfacemovie.com. Chris, I want to thank you so much for calling in. It means a lot to us, my friend.
Thank you, Russell.
I want to also thank you on behalf of all the musicians here in Louisiana for representing us in our music around the world. We do appreciate it, friend.
I'm going to just play out, Russell. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much, Chris. We'll catch you down the road, friend. Looking forward to hearing some music from you.
Okay, thanks, man. Have a great one.
You too, brother.
Bye.
For more information about the hosts, guests, or our other weekly programs, visit RadioRandomNetwork.com. Join us next week for another entertaining episode of Russell and Mudtooth. Thanks for listening.